The Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
In harmony. As you wish.
Minions have spawned.
Upon the wind. With ease. Recklessly. Swiftly. With ease. In harmony. As you wish. Recklessly. The tempest is upon them. Upon the wind. Recklessly. Swiftly. In harmony.
First blood.
As you wish.
An ally has been slain.
Upon the wind. With ease. Breathlessly. As you wish.
An enemy has been slain.
In harmony. Upon the wind. With ease.
An enemy has been slain.
Upon the wind. In harmony.
Slain an enemy. Double kill.
As you wish.
Ally has been slain. Enemy double kill.
Breathlessly. With ease.
An enemy has been slain.
Swiftly. Breathlessly. Upon the wind. In harmony. As you wish. With ease. Swiftly.
Shut down.
With ease. In harmony. Upon the wind. Swiftly. As you wish.
An enemy has been slain.
Gale winds unleashed.
Killing spree.
Act 1.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Breathlessly. With ease. In harmony. Swiftly. Upon the wind.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Rampage.
As you wish. Swiftly. Breathlessly.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
With ease.
An enemy has
ease. Swiftly. As you wish.
An enemy has been slain.
With ease. In harmony. Upon the wind.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Breathlessly. Swiftly. In harmony. With ease. As you wish. Breathlessly.
An enemy has been slain. Unstoppable. You have slain an enemy.
By your command. As you wish. Swiftly.
Dominating.
In harmony. Breathlessly. With ease.
Shut down. Your team has destroyed the turret.
Swiftly.
Godlike.
As you wish.
An enemy has been slain.
Upon the wind. Breathlessly. As you wish. In harmony. With ease. Swiftly. Upon the wind.
And as you turret has been destroyed.
Swiftly. In harmony. Upon the wind. Breathlessly.
Shut down. An enemy has been slain.
Swiftly. In harmony. Upon the wind. As you wish. The storm approaches.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has destroyed a turret.
Unleashed.
been slain. Double kill. The enemy's inhibitor is respawning soon.
Run by Fluffy Kitten. This was an extremely impressive run at the time for Ocarina, but it was ultimately rejected for including an out-of-bounds trick. The trick was a Deku Tree basement skip, which would skip several rooms in the basement and bring you closer to the boss. The problem was defining what was in or out of bounds. A lot of the time runners wouldn't know if a certain trick was out of bounds or not, so they would contact the administrators. The whole point of a universal rule set was that it was easy to understand, and rules wouldn't need to be administered at a game-by-game basis, but that's exactly what was happening. Speedrunners asked Mike Uyama, who is now the new administrator of the website, if the trick was legal.
The fact that refusing to speed up and take risks will see you fail the mission at hand means that these players felt that the game was punishing them for playing in a certain way. And there's a famous story about World of Warcraft, which I've never played, so excuse me if I screw this up, but in the story, Blizzard didn't want people to play the game for too long. So they introduced a system in the beta where the longer you played, the fewer experience points you'd get for killing monsters and whatnot. But players hated it. They hated seeing the numbers go down. It felt like a punishment for playing the game. So Blizzard did something pretty clever. They flipped the system on its head. Now, players can build up a rest bonus whenever they're not playing the game, and then get an experience points boost when they next log in. It's essentially the same numbers, says Blizzard, but making it a reward rather than a penalty made it much more agreeable to fans. So it's often better to encourage the behavior you want than discourage the behavior you don't. Instead of punishing a player who is too slow, reward a player who finishes the level quickly. And there are loads of good ways to encourage player behavior. It starts with the fundamental moment-to-moment gameplay, where designers can tweak the game's most basic mechanics to push players towards a certain style of play. Take the latest Doom, where the designers wanted to promote an aggressive sort of push-forward combat. One way id Software achieved this was through the glory kill mechanic, which provided plenty of compelling reasons to close in on your foes instead of running away and firing from a safe distance. This move instantly kills an enemy, it doesn't use any ammunition, and it showers the player with useful health pickups. And so, despite years of FPS games training players to run away and hide behind cover, in Doom, players spend much of the game racing headfirst towards demons. Likewise, Bloodborne encouraged players to be more aggressive than they were in Dark Souls by adding the rally mechanic, which lets you recover health if you strike an enemy within a few seconds of taking damage. Players are less likely to back off and wait for an opening if they have a chance to win back some health with a quick, aggressive attack. Other examples of this sort of immediate encouragement might include the Burnout games, where you gather much needed boost by doing all sorts of fun things, like driving close to other cars and racing into oncoming traffic. You've got to drive dangerously to win. And Hyperlight Drifter, where the only way to recharge your gun is to slash bad guys with your sword, encouraging you to get up close and personal with enemies. Encouragement can also be baked into more abstract, overarching systems like scores. In most character action games, you can finish the stage even if you're pretty sloppy and rely on the same few tactics for the whole game, but you'll end up with a crappy grade at the end of the level. To get a better grade, you need to play in the way that the designers intended. So for a game like Devil May Cry, which is all about being stylish, you'll get better grades plus some handy items if you use varied and more difficult attacks and use your guns to keep the combo ticking along. Likewise, Tony Hawk's makes you connect up different tricks to keep your combo going and will give fewer points each time you repeat a move. In all of these games, the only way to get a high score is to play in the most stylish and interesting way possible and to use the full extent of the game's mechanics. Rewards like experience points and achievements can also be used for this purpose because the designer gets to choose exactly what sort of activities or challenges the player must do to earn those points, and can tailor this to reward players for taking actions that fit the game's intended experience.
Oh, son of a mother. Tech is wild. This cocky leash is grading my performance.
Now, this is not to say that games should never discourage, punish, or penalize people. This will always have a place in games, but for those games that do focus on negative enforcement, they should be wary of pushing the slider from discouraging a playstyle to practically forcing you not to use it. Not to beat a dead horse, but playing fast in XCOM 2's timed missions is not just the best way to play, but basically the only way to play. Because forcing a very specific playstyle is difficult to pull off. I'm sure we've all played stealth games where getting spotted by enemies leads to instant failure. And sure, this makes you play in a stealthy, ninja-like manner, and it doesn't allow you to just Rambo your way through the game with superior firepower. But it's also annoying, and it gets rid of exciting moments like where you get spotted but manage to escape and go back into hiding. So the goal is not necessarily to shut down tactics that can lead to uninteresting playstyles. For example, if players are spending too much time hiding safely behind cover in a shooter when you'd prefer them to run around the battlefield, you don't have to remove cover entirely. It's more often about keeping this stuff as a valid tactic for certain situations, but tweaking them so the player will not abuse or completely rely on them. So you can discourage players from abusing cover by having enemies throw in grenades or having cover break over time. Or you could encourage players to stay out of cover by giving them points for fighting out in the open. And to go back to the stealth example, there are better ways to encourage stealthy play than just insta-failing players who get spotted. You could discourage direct attacks by making the player very weak. In the Arkham games, Batman is useless against enemies with guns, so punching the crap out of guards during the stealth bits is a bad tactic. But you can stay alive long enough to grapple hook your way back to safety. Or you could encourage stealth by using the scoring systems mentioned earlier. In Hitman, the only way to get a high score or finish many of the challenges like Silent Assassin is to play in the most sneaky way possible. Never get seen, hide the bodies, delete the camera recordings, and so on. Or